this hot?
Justine got obviously an opportunity with the Aces, and she had a good debut.
Immediately, she got an opportunity. Aces, yeah, like.
Forget everything the press release told you, because the real story is a lot uglier than a simple roster update. When Stephanie White walked up to that podium and confirmed that 4 core players were gone from the Indiana Fever, she wasn't just closing a chapter. She was wiping out the very people who kept this team alive. What the media wants to sell you as a smart rebuild is actually something far darker. A deliberate, calculated wipe out of the players who carried this franchise through its worst years. They want fans to believe this is normal WNBA business. They want you to think that clearing the roster is the only way to build around Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. But dig a little deeper, and you'll find something far more troubling. This isn't about cap space. It isn't about finding better fits for a faster offense. This is about control, ego, and a front office trying to bury its own past mistakes by pushing out the very players who gave this team everything they had. To understand how big this betrayal really is, we need to skip the press conference talking points and look at the actual numbers. These are players who showed flashes of potential and never delivered. These are players who walked in and immediately produced results night after night, season after season. Look at the stats. Over 3 seasons, these players were putting up near double-doubles on a regular basis, battling the toughest front courts in the league for every rebound. They logged thousands of minutes when nobody outside Indiana was watching, when the arena was half full, when the national networks barely mentioned the Fever's name. We're talking about a franchise that leaned on these exact players to build a $22 million shift in valuation and cap flexibility. And now those same players are the ones getting shown the door. These are professionals, adults who have given their bodies to this franchise, playing hurt, enduring brutal travel schedules, showing up as the backbone of a team that was constantly in chaos. And how does the front office pay them back? By cutting them loose the second the spotlight finally arrives. Look at where the Fever have been over the last 4 years. This wasn't a team gliding toward a championship. This was a team barely staying afloat, surviving almost entirely because of the grit and talent of the exact players who just got pushed out. And that kind of erasure doesn't happen in one press conference. It builds slowly, quiet neglect, convenient leaks to reporters about chemistry issues, and the steady sidelining of anyone who dares to speak up for their own value. Now, let's get into the numbers the front office would rather you never see. Between 2022 and 2024, these departing players accounted for more than 40% of the team's total defensive rebounds and 35% of their points in the paint. They were constantly ranked among the league's best at contesting shots without fouling. They were the ones absorbing the physical punishment down low, so the guards could work freely on the perimeter. We're also talking about real money here. Ticket renewals, merchandise sales, local broadcast deals, all built on the backs of these athletes who kept the franchise competitive when the odds were stacked against them. And now the story being pushed is that somehow these same players were holding the team back. So, let's get to the real turning point. The moment that shows exactly what this front office is really about. It wasn't a bad loss or a blown defensive assignment. The real turning point came when the coaching staff realized that keeping proven, confident veterans would mean actually managing strong personalities instead of molding a blank slate roster. It's always easier to demand obedience from newcomers than to earn the respect of veterans who already know exactly what they bring to the table. When Stephanie White returned to Indiana, local media painted it as the homecoming that would fix everything wrong with this franchise. But this roster purge tells a different story. It shows a coach clearing out anyone who might challenge the new pecking order in the locker room. It's a decision built to protect the front office from its own history of failing to draft and develop role players by making scapegoats out of the stars who outgrew that dysfunction. This is old-school coaching bias dressed up as modern strategy. The front office looked at a roster full of confident established players and decided their ambition was a problem instead of a strength. So they punished it. They punished players who pushed for better practice facilities, who asked for better travel conditions before charter flights became standard, and who wanted their production reflected in real contract negotiations. This $22 million gamble was never about basketball. It's about control. Now, here come the defenders, the beat writers, the front office loyalists. Ready to explain this away? They'll tell you the cap is tight. They'll say the new collective bargaining agreement forces hard choices. They'll claim that building around Caitlin Clark's game-changing talent required a completely different type of roster. They'll say these 4 players simply didn't fit the up-tempo system Stephanie White wants to run. A painful but necessary business decision. They'll call it. Let's break that story down piece by piece because the numbers destroy it completely. First, the claim that these players couldn't run the floor doesn't hold up. Advanced tracking data from the last 2 seasons shows these players ranked in the 80th percentile for transition scoring. They were the ones grabbing the rebound and firing the outlet pass that started the fast break. Second, the salary cap excuse is a smokescreen for fans who don't follow the fine print. The Fever had multiple ways to restructure deals, use trade exceptions, or stagger veteran extensions to keep this group together. They had the flexibility to offer bridge contracts. They had draft assets they could have used to open up cap room. They simply chose not to. They took the harshest, most disrespectful route because it was easier than doing the real work of managing a talented veteran-heavy roster. Third, calling them bad locker room fits is almost insulting given their track record. These players were respected across the league. They showed up in anonymous player surveys praised for their work ethic, their leadership, and their loyalty to teammates. They organized team dinners. They mentored the young players. They held the locker room together through brutal losing streaks. They didn't fail the Fever. The Fever failed them, punishing loyalty instead of rewarding it. That frustration you hear from the departing players isn't just noise. It's the sound of a broken system finally being exposed. A system that treats world-class athletes like disposable pieces on a spreadsheet. Want to see what it actually looks like when a coach handles this the right way? Look at what Nate Tibbetts has done in Phoenix. He walked into a roster loaded with big contracts, aging stars, strong personalities, and a franchise desperate for a fresh identity. Instead of clearing house to protect his own authority, he leaned into his veterans. He didn't treat their experience like a threat. He treated it like a weapon. He faced the exact same tight cap, the exact same media pressure, the exact same need to modernize an outdated offense. But instead of gutting the roster out of fear, he adjusted his system to fit the talent already in the building. He built plays around his big players instead of forcing them out to fit some theoretical scheme. He managed minutes to keep veterans fresh. He talked to his players like the professionals they are. The result? A locker room that bought in completely and a team that turned things around almost immediately. He proved you don't need to tear a roster apart to build something that works. He didn't demand loyalty. He earned it. That contrast says everything about what's happening in Indiana. And this isn't just about one team's roster decisions. It says something bigger about where this league is heading. First, think about what this does to the idea of loyalty in women's basketball. It tells every incoming rookie that no amount of hard work, no amount of production, and no amount of sacrifice will protect you once someone in the front office decides they want a cleaner L-looking roster. Second, think about what this means for how teams are built going forward. We might be sliding into an era where players are treated like temporary pieces instead of franchise cornerstones, and that damages the exact bond between players and fans that built this league in the first place. Third, consider the human cost. These are adults being forced to uproot their lives, breaking leases, pulling their families out of communities, walking away from local business ventures. Also, a front office can avoid taking responsibility for its own mistakes. Fourth, think about what this says about Stephanie White as a leader. She sent a clear message to free agents and to her own locker room. She'd rather have quiet compliance than confident, outspoken players. That's a dangerous message to send in a league where players are demanding more say in their own careers. And finally, the contrast with coaches like Tibbetts proves this wasn't necessary. Building trust works. Burning bridges doesn't. What happened in Indiana looks less like a basketball decision and more like a power move. Think about everything these players gave, the loyalty, the production night after night, the way they were let go without so much as a real explanation, and ask yourself one simple question. If a franchise is willing to turn its back on the players who carried it through its darkest seasons, what happens to the new stars once things get hard for them too? The timing makes it even harder to swallow. For years, the Fever asked fans to be patient. They told season ticket holders to trust the process to invest in a team that was still finding its footing. And who did they put on the billboards? Who did they put on the renewal brochures? These exact players, their faces, their stories, their work ethic, sold tickets, and kept the lights on. And the players held up their end. They showed up to community events. They signed every autograph. They faced the media after tough losses with a smile season after season. They were the bridge that got this franchise from irrelevance to national television and sold-out arenas. But the moment that bridge did its job, the moment the franchise finally had the attention and the talent it always wanted, it was torn down without a second thought. This wasn't a mutual, respectful partying. It was a calculated move to make sure the new era gets full credit with no reminders of who actually built the foundation. This entire plan rests on the idea that chemistry can be manufactured instantly, that you can swap players in and out like pieces of code, ignoring the human element that actually wins championships. Now, let's talk basketball. Because the defensive fallout alone should be enough to get someone fired. These players weren't just contributors. They were the team's best interior defenders. They understood the rotations needed to survive against elite front courts like the ones in New York, Las Vegas, and Connecticut. They had the strength to hold position, contest without fouling, and grab the defensive boards that fuel a fast break. By pushing them out, the Fever have basically opened the lane for every opposing offense in the league. They traded proven defensive toughness for offensive potential, ignoring one basic truth about playoff basketball. If you can't get a stop and secure the rebound, your offense never even gets the chance to run. That's the real gamble here. They're betting the franchise's future on a one-dimensional roster that historically struggles once playoff intensity kicks in, all while pushing out the veteran leadership young players need most in high-pressure moments. And instead of owning that decision, the front office let anonymous whisperers suggest these players were difficult or resistant to change, quietly trying to damage their reputations on the way out to make themselves look better. That's the real insult here. It wasn't enough to take their roster spots. They tried to take their credibility too, but players around the league are watching. They see exactly what happened in Indiana, and it will cost this franchise when it comes to attracting top free agents down the road. Why would any established player sign with an organization that treats its foundational pieces this way? Why would anyone want to play under that kind of uncertainty? This is why the Tibbetts comparison stings so much. He didn't demand obedience. He built collaboration. He looked at a room full of strong, accomplished players and saw an asset, not a threat. He listened. He adjusted. And in return, he got full buy-in in a team that turned things around fast. He proved that respect and results go hand in hand, something the Fever front office still hasn't figured out. So, here's the real question fans in Indiana need to be asking. Is this front office building a winning culture or just protecting itself? Drop your take in the comments. Do you think this roster shakeup was necessary, or was it a mistake that's going to haunt this franchise? Like this video, share it with a fellow Hoops fan, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown when this story keeps unfolding.